so many horrific accusations, though, involving young singers, like children.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's insane.
He makes R. Kelly look like a decent guy.
I've found very intricate and mind-blowing satanic rituals and sacrifices out there.
What?
Oh, yeah.
You know, Diddy bought his son a Bentley. Maybe, you know, he could buy you one also while you're
He
out.
got me a Lamborghini.
Oh, well, that's nice.
I haven't gotten it yet, though.
Yeah, I know. When is that coming, that Lamborghini? We talked about this last
He
time.
had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
You know, Justin Bieber had a post the other day on his Instagram talking about all the drugs that he did when he was younger and how much it fucked him up. And now he's got a relationship with the Lord, and he's got, you know, he's married, and he's trying to be a normal person.
Yeah.
But he's struggling with the fact that he was insanely famous when he was a kid.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh?
No,
You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, you know, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really got my number, so.
Right, okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
We had seen these videos of Justin Bieber being handed over to him at age 15. Great job. And for his weekend with Diddy camp. I mean, we don't know, but it certainly looks like Justin Bieber is still suffering the fallout from whatever happened to him as he was coming up the ranks of the music world. It really doesn't seem worth it. I mean, I'd love to hear more from his camp about what's real, because it's clear he's suffering. We just don't know from what. And what mother out there would give her 15-year-old boy over to a grown man who's in the rap industry for a weekend with Diddy camp without other adult supervision?
What's going on with you guys? Are you working together?
I'm not. I mean, I think that we become friends in a strange way, you know?
Like Robin Big.
Yeah. It's like exactly.
I'm big and you're Robin.
Yeah. No, I mean, to a lot of us, he's like a little brother. You know what I'm saying? He's not afraid to call and ask for advice. He's somebody that, in the industry-wise, the record industry is a strong family, and he's somebody that, you know, we definitely have our arms around, and we want to protect him because he's such genuinely a nice person besides his talent. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the greatest kids that you could ever know. If so, bump somebody. All right, thanks. I love you, man. I got my MTV out. Savage! I'm a savage! Oh! I'm a savage! Whatever I want, I'm going to get! Whatever I want, I have to get! So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So.
You know, I've had conversations with people about it, and it's like, Jesus, like just trying to get the documents, like when they're trying to get the Epstein files, like they're the state of New York. One of the district attorneys was hiding documents. They had to force them to give documents. I think there's so many fucking powerful people that are on those lists. There's so many powerful people that went and partied. Air quotes, partied. And how many of them went to the Diddy parties? Have you been paying attention to the trial?
Oh, yeah.
Trials. Wild.
Why don't they air it the same way they aired the coverage that
Johnny
Depp got?
I know. Why don't they? I don't know. They should. The ratings would be amazing.
Unreal.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing? Why wouldn't you air that?
What's going to happen though, you think?
Well, Diddy's going to be in jail for the rest of his life. I think he's probably going to get.
Think he's going to sing though?
I don't know. I don't even think it matters. I mean, it's a lot of it is.
But then it's just another Epstein. It's another Ghislaine Maxwell, where somebody gets indicted and nobody else indicted for trafficking kids to
right
no
to know.
They wouldn't let him Actually, someone made reference to the fact that Diddy trying to get at Bieber the way he was trying to get at Bieber was looking a little predatory. And then Usher came in and discovered it and managed him and got custody of him and promised to look after him. And then he sent him to the diddler. Does that sound like a good guy?
It's horrible.
Does that sound like a good guy? Now that we know what Diddy's really like, what kind of fucking asshole do you gotta be to take another boy, another talented boy, and put him in your place so it ain't gotta be you no more? Because that's what pedophiles do. They get victims, and then once they get to a certain age and they get too old for them to enjoy them, they send them out to go get other young kids.
Months ago, I was really struggling mentally and emotionally, and just there were so many things that were adding up, and I wasn't able to enjoy any of the things that I own.
That stuff's not gonna matter to you.
None of the actual things did anything because I was so hurt and I was so confused and I was so sick, and there was all these things, and I was like, I can't, there's like, you just can't, like you said, you can't enjoy the actual physical, tangible, like, things that money offers, right? Like, it really had to come from within. So that's
Joe Rogan didn't just get upset. He exploded with rage when he finally pieced together what had been happening between Diddy and Justin Bieber. The podcast mic picked up the frustration in his voice, the disbelief, the anger that someone as powerful as Diddy could manipulate a teenager who trusted him. Rogan wasn't just speaking as a host, he was speaking as a father, a friend, and someone who's been watching the industry rot from the inside out for decades. And this time, he couldn't stay calm. The story of Justin Bieber's early years has always been painted as a fairy tale, a kid from Canada with raw talent discovered on YouTube, skyrocketing to fame almost overnight. But beneath the surface of that dream was a nightmare. And Rogan made sure everyone listening knew it. He connected the dots between legal filings, public statements, leaked footage, and years of strange interviews. What he revealed painted Diddy not as a mentor, but as a manipulator who used his status to pull Bieber into situations no young artist should have faced. Rogan hammered down on one point again and again: power. Diddy had it, Bieber didn't. That imbalance wasn't just unfair, it was dangerous. And as Rogan said, once you realize how far it went, you can't unsee it. He spoke about the sleepovers, the sudden trips, the public comments that felt more like warnings than jokes. He called out the industry for enabling it all, for pretending it was harmless while a teenager was being dragged into a world of control. What hit Rogan hardest was Bieber's silence for so many years. The podcaster's voice cracked as he admitted how hard it must have been for Bieber to hold that pain in, smiling for cameras, performing for fans, while knowing what he had gone through behind closed doors. That's not mentorship, Rogan spat. That's entrapment. But what happened next made Rogan's rage even worse. He learned how Bieber tried to escape the cycle, how he pulled away from Diddy, how he distanced himself as he grew older. And yet, even then, Diddy's shadow followed him. Old clips resurfaced of Diddy talking about Bieber in ways that made Rogan's blood boil. This is not just inappropriate, he said. This is criminal-level grooming of a kid who had no idea what he was walking into. The podcast turned into a courtroom of public opinion. Rogan laid out evidence like a prosecutor, hammering one nail after another into Diddy's crumbling empire. He quoted directly from lawsuits filed by others who had faced Diddy's manipulation, drawing parallels that made Bieber's story even more believable. This isn't an isolated incident, Rogan growled. This is a pattern. And the industry has been protecting this guy for decades. The longer Rogan spoke, the angrier he became. At one point, he slammed the table so hard the audio spiked. How many kids have to get dragged into this machine before people say enough is enough, he demanded. If this was anyone else, they'd already be in prison. Fans reacted instantly. Clips of Rogan's rant went viral, spreading across social media like wildfire. Hashtags calling out Diddy trended worldwide, and Bieber's name was once again linked to headlines he never asked for. But this time, the narrative was different. He wasn't the troubled pop star making headlines for scandals. He was the victim of someone else's hunger for control, and Rogan was the one finally giving him a voice. The fallout from Rogan's podcast shook Hollywood. Insiders whispered about who might be next to speak out. Lawsuits already piling up against Diddy suddenly gained new attention, with Rogan's breakdown of events circulating as a kind of unofficial testimony. Fans began demanding that Bieber himself address what happened, but Rogan cautioned against that. "He doesn't owe us details," Rogan said. "He already lived it. What he needs now is peace." Still, Rogan wasn't about to let Diddy off the hook. In the following episodes, he returned to the subject, digging deeper into timelines, revisiting suspicious interviews, replaying clips that didn't sit right. Every time his anger grew. "It's like the guy's mocking everyone," Rogan said, after playing an old video of Diddy joking about owning weekends with Bieber. "That's not a joke. That's a confession hiding in plain sight." The anger wasn't just personal, it was cultural. Rogan called out an industry that's obsessed with fame and money but blind to morality. He blasted executives who looked the other way, fans who dismissed early warnings as gossip, and journalists who failed to ask hard questions. "You can't keep protecting predators just because they make hits," he said. "That time is over." And for Diddy, Rogan's words were a death sentence in the court of public opinion. Every clip, every rant, every breakdown went viral, stacking up against Diddy like a mountain he could never climb. The empire that once looked untouchable was now on fire, and Joe Rogan was standing at the center, throwing gasoline with every episode. What made the anger cut even deeper was Rogan's compassion for Bieber. Again and again, he circled back to how young the singer was, how powerless, how manipulated. "The guy was 15, Rogan said, his voice trembling. 15. And instead of being protected, he was thrown to the wolves." That line became a rallying cry online, quoted in countless posts demanding justice. As the weeks went by, the story refused to die. More old clips surfaced, more former insiders came forward, and every new piece of evidence only made Rogan's fury burn hotter. He wasn't just covering a scandal, he was demanding accountability, and he wasn't going to stop until the world listened. As the storm grew, Rogan's voice became more than just commentary. It became a megaphone for outrage. Every new clip of him tearing into Diddy wasn't just entertainment. It was evidence, emotion, and accountability rolled into one. His anger wasn't reckless, it was precise. He knew exactly where to aim, and he hit Diddy's empire at its most vulnerable points. Rogan zeroed in on the enablers. "It's not just Diddy," he said, shaking his head. "It's the entire circle around him. The managers, the executives, the record labels. They all saw what was going on. You mean to tell me not one of them thought, hey, maybe this isn't okay? Number. They stayed quiet because they were making money." His words struck like a hammer, exposing not just one man's wrongdoing, but an entire system that thrived on silence. The public couldn't look away. Fans who had grown up alongside Bieber suddenly saw their childhood idol in a new light, not as the flawless superstar he was marketed to be, but as a kid trapped in the claws of a mogul who saw him as a tool. Rogan's fury gave those fans permission to be angry too. Social media feeds lit up with old clips, dissected interviews, and timelines pieced together like crime scenes. And every new thread pointed back to Diddy. The heat reached corporate boardrooms. Rumors swirled that brands once eager to partner with Diddy were quietly backing away. Deals stalled, events canceled, campaigns pulled. Rogan's voice wasn't just causing outrage, it was hitting Diddy where it hurt most, his empire. "When the money dries up," Rogan thundered, "the truth comes out." That's the only language these people understand. But beneath the fury, Rogan revealed something deeper. He admitted that what disgusted him most was the betrayal of trust. "Justin looked up to this guy," Rogan said, his voice sharp with anger. "He thought he was being guided. Instead, he was being used. You don't come back from that. That leaves scars that fame, money, none of it can heal." Those words hung heavy, turning the podcast from a rant into a moral reckoning. As the pressure mounted, new allegations began spilling into the news cycle. Lawsuits against Diddy gained traction, and suddenly Rogan's podcast felt less like a talk show and more like a documentary unfolding in real time. Every week there was something new, a deposition, a leaked video, a statement from someone who had been too afraid to speak before. Rogan's fury had cracked open a dam, and now the flood couldn't be stopped. He warned listeners that this wasn't just about one celebrity feud or one legal battle. This is about what happens when unchecked power meets vulnerable people, he said. And if it can happen to Justin Bieber, one of the most famous kids on the planet, you think it can't happen to anyone else? Think again. That warning became a rallying cry. Fans, advocates, and even fellow podcasters picked up the message, repeating it across platforms. The narrative shifted. This wasn't gossip, it was accountability. And Diddy's once golden reputation was collapsing faster than anyone expected. What shook Rogan most, though, was Bieber's resilience. Even after everything, Bieber managed to rebuild his career, his life, his family. That's strength, Rogan admitted, but don't mistake survival for healing. This guy had to carry a weight he should have never been forced to carry. His words cut to the core, reminding everyone listening that behind the headlines and the hits was a human being who had endured far more than he ever should have. And with every sentence, Rogan made one thing clear. Diddy's time at the top was finished, not because of a single podcast, but because the truth had finally broken through the walls of money and power that had protected him for so long. Rogan wasn't just angry, he was determined, and that determination was contagious. Rogan's intensity didn't fade. It grew stronger with each passing week. He reminded his listeners that while headlines come and go, real accountability takes persistence. People forget too fast, he said, slamming his fist on the desk. The media cycle moves on, but the damage doesn't disappear. If we don't keep talking about this, if we don't demand answers, Diddy walks away untouched. And that can't happen. His words weren't just observations, they were calls to action. The fallout was already spreading like wildfire. Concert organizers grew hesitant to book Diddy. Documentaries and investigative reporters dug deeper into his past. Each revelation added fuel to Rogan's fire, and each new headline seemed to echo what he had already been shouting from his studio. Fans no longer questioned whether Diddy was guilty. They questioned how he had managed to escape scrutiny for so long. Rogan began connecting the scandal to a larger cultural reckoning. He pointed out that celebrities had built walls around themselves, hiding behind fame, lawyers, and massive publicity machines. But when those walls cracked, the truth always came flooding out. Diddy thought he could bury everything, Rogan said, his tone rising. But the truth doesn't stay buried. Not when someone like Justin finds the strength to talk. Not when millions of people finally open their eyes. The more Rogan spoke, the more pressure built. And with each passing day, the question shifted from if Diddy would face consequences to when. The man who once shaped the music industry was now being shaped by the court of public opinion. And Rogan made sure that judgment was loud, unrelenting, and impossible to ignore. Rogan's frustration reached new heights when he started pointing to the silence of other celebrities. He noted how many of them had shared stages, parties, and business ventures with Diddy, yet now they avoided addressing the scandal. Where are they now? Rogan demanded. These people stood shoulder to shoulder with him when it was profitable, and now that the truth is out, they vanish. That's cowardly, that's complicity. His disappointment wasn't just directed at Diddy, it stretched across entire industry that had enabled him for years. Behind the scenes, whispers of legal teams preparing their cases became louder. Rogan zeroed in on that development, reminding listeners that justice in court often moves slower than justice in the public eye. We can't sit around waiting, he insisted. Public pressure has to stay relentless because that's what forces people to act. His words carried weight because history had proven him right. Many corporate sponsors had already started walking away from Diddy after Rogan's relentless coverage. What fueled Rogan's outrage most was the feeling of betrayal. To him, Diddy wasn't just another celebrity caught up in scandal. He represented a system that preyed on young talent, manipulated their dreams, and discarded them once they served their purpose. When you see Justin talk about what he went through, Rogan said, voice low but trembling with anger, you realize this isn't just about one bad deal or one shady contract. This was systematic and it was personal. It was calculated control dressed up as mentorship. The fallout only deepened as more evidence trickled out. Old interviews were resurfaced where Diddy casually bragged about his influence over rising stars, jokes that now sounded far more sinister. Each clip reignited Rogan's fury. That wasn't charm, he said, shaking his head. That was a confession hiding in plain sight, and nobody wanted to believe it because the hits kept coming and the money kept flowing. The storm surrounding Diddy had grown into something bigger than a scandal. It was a reckoning, and Joe Rogan made it clear that as long as he had a microphone, he would keep hammering the truth until the world finally listened.